welcome back to the Stay at Home Mum channel. I'm your host Lisa Baker and I am here to talk about everything stay at home mum. The highs, the lows and everything in between. So I actually hold my hands up today for being completely burnt out over the last few months. And that is why I have dropped episodes on my podcast. I'm hoping to have this now more frequent, fingers crossed, because I am looking after a 3-year-old and a 20-month-old, so you've got to give me a little bit of leeway here. I hope you all understand. To be honest, I've just been doing too much. I definitely have ADHD and I've been having too many projects on the go, as well as looking after my children, the house, everything, and something had to drop. And unfortunately, within this time, I've also been through a lot. I applied for a job, which I actually got a huge pay rise, but I only worked 3 days. And I basically left due to severe mum guilt. And I know a lot of you out there will be able to understand that. It was literally for the experience of leaving my kids, the kicking, the crying and all of that going into childcare. I know a lot of people have to just do it, but in this moment in my life I don't need to do it, and the guilt was just incredible for the fact that I didn't need to be there. So, you know, it was very, very stressful, and it's not something that we're going to be doing right here, right now. Not only that, I've actually been suffering with panic attacks. Amazing, right? And basically crazy anxiety, literally because I've had 2 Christmas drinks. Alcohol basically affects my anxiety levels, so that affects whether I can do things like this, because it just messes with my head. Then we have had the whole family being ill, so there's just been one thing after another which has prevented me from doing something like this, something fun, something that I have a bit of time. It's just not been happening. So with all these life events, I basically burnt out completely, and I'm sure that a lot of you out there have been through all of these things before yourselves and can understand why I've just basically not been around that often. So last night I decided I've got to pick one thing. I'm doing too many things. I've got to pick one thing that I do as a hobby that I'm going to stick with and concentrate on. And guess what? This was the thing. Yes! Why? Because I genuinely enjoy creating YouTube videos, creating podcast episodes, and talking to you lot and the community that we have. And one day I've actually been thinking about creating a Patreon private community where we can all jump in and we can all talk to each other directly, so that it's not so much one way in that sense. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, please do, on my YouTube video, comment down below. And if you're listening on my podcast, you can either DM me or you can jump onto my YouTube channel and comment there. So the reason I was talking about how burnt out I've been is because today I'm actually going to talk about burnout. So if you've been a very lucky lady and you've not actually experienced burnout, you just need to tell us what your tips are down below, because I need them. And I'm certainly jealous of you. But burnout is basically where you are completely overwhelmed to the point of where it prevents you in a way of functioning, and you can't really think straight either. And then what happens is you basically can't get anything done, instead of it being like you go from doing everything to not being able to do anything. And I know everybody can experience it differently, and for me, I get panic attacks, I get severe anxiety, and I get very, very tired very quickly, and I can't do social events. That's how I deal with it. And another thing may be that your patient doesn't even exist, which, you know, isn't great for your kids, is it? And it's not great for your partner. So how do we prevent this? Let's talk about prevention, hey? Tell you what, it's not easy, because it does creep up on you, and sometimes you don't even know it's coming. So what I have actually decided to do is to start to prepare for when I'm overwhelmed, to try and reduce it. So if a busy week is coming, I batch cook some meals and I freeze them, so I can literally just grab them out and I can put them in my slow cooker. I prepare all the lunch boxes ahead of time and put them in the fridge ready. I even order a food shop for delivery, keep it there, because, you know, screw juggling the supermarket with a 3-year-old and a 20-month-old who doesn't want to be in the trolley. wants to be carried, pushing the trolley with my other hand. Screw that, because, you know, delivery straight to my door and straight into the kitchen. And not only that, it obviously prepares you to plan ahead because you're ordering it from your house. You can actually think about what meals that you want to have, what snacks the kids are going to have. And because you're doing your lunch boxes, you know what you need from that delivery. And like I was saying before, like I do have ADHD, so if I do plan, I do have a better week ahead, even though sometimes I don't use the plan that I've planned. I can still think straighter because I know what I've written down in my plan and I know whereabouts I'm going. So it is key to just think about your week ahead, and it reduces that overwhelm significantly. So now I've even gone to the extent of thinking about how to make my home easier for me. The bauble just fell off the tree. Like, for example, I was watching a YouTube video ages ago. I think it was Jordan Page. She's in America, and she mentioned about having all matching socks. I know this is going to sound crazy, but for the kids, having all white matching socks, and my kids are quite close in size, so a size that covers basically both of them. And then it just takes away that task of sitting there and pairing them all, because they're all matching. It doesn't really matter. You can either pair them and put them in the cupboard, or you can just put them in the cupboard. Doesn't matter at all. And it sounds so silly, but oh my word, it saved me such a big task every time I do the laundry. I don't even have to think about it. I just chuck them in. They're all white. Bump in. I have even simplified the kids' bedrooms. So regarding toys, I must have got rid of maybe 3/4 of the toys. And what I've actually found is that the kids are now playing with the toys and using their imagination, creating characters. Whereas in the past, they were kind of just moving the toys around the room and leaving them in places. They weren't actually playing and having like this imaginary world, which is now what they're doing. We even have a tidy up song, and it's not what you think. It's by Reverend and the Makers, called Haircut. They picked the song, and every time it came on, I'd noticed that my eldest would tidy the room so she could dance. And I thought, right, that is what I'm going to use now. So every time before we go bed, I put the song on, and automatically, because they want to dance, they tidy up the room, and the room's all back to normal. It's great, I don't have to do it. And it just made my life so much easier. And then the room's all nice and tidy for when I'm going to relax after bedtime. So nice and chilled, all that peace. I'm not having to do it. Great, great idea. So now I'm actually attempting to make the chores easier. So I'm actually looking at what I do throughout the day and just trying to fine tune things. I know this sounds really stupid, but like the dishwasher, for example, I make sure I've put it on early in the evening so that it finishes before bedtime, so I can open it and let the air in so that they dry overnight. So in the morning, I put it all away, it's all dried, I don't have to dry any of it. So it's just taking away that task that I was having to do, which just makes your chores that, 5 minutes longer. You don't need to do it, so maybe you could do that in your house. It did have a option on it for the door to open itself, but I've had to turn it off because obviously I've got children and a cat. So I don't really want it hitting one of them on the heads. So that is my way around it. So I do feel a little bit like I've gone off on a tangent this week about burnout and all these different silly tasks, but I think it can really make a difference to your day. And I think a lot of mums out there are feeling the same way about being overwhelmed. And if you can just tweak things in your house that makes it easier for you to deal with, why not? Why not? Why not? Why don't we all do it together? Why don't we go kitchen, let's do the dining room, let's do the bedrooms. We can actually make this as a bit of a series of how we're going to make our lives easier to prevent that burnout and that overwhelm. Surely I'm not the only one. So if you resonated with this episode, video, whatever you want to call it, please do make sure you give it a thumbs up and you subscribe. And if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you follow. And obviously, comment down below what makes you burn out, or tips and tricks of how you avoid it, because it will help another mum out there. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.